You're so pretty. You're so pretty.
Didn't see you there, landlubbers. Been wanting to speak to you about whales. It is some systematized exhibition of the whale and his broad-genera that I would now fain put before you. Yet it is no easy task. The classification of the constituents of a chaos, nothing less is here essayed. Though of real knowledge there be little, yet of books there are aplenty, and so in some small degree with cetology, or the science of whales. Many are the men, small and great, old and new, landsmen and seamen, who have at large or in little written of the whale. Let's run over a few.
Yes, quite. Regardless, reference to nearly all the Leviathanic allusions in the great poet of past days will satisfy you that the Greenland whale, without one rival, was to them the monarch of the seas. Pfft. He is not even the largest of the whales. But the time has come for a new proclamation. This is Charing Cross. Hear ye, good people all, the Greenland whale is deposed. The great sperm whale now reigneth.
As yet, however, the sperm whale, scientific or poetic, lives not complete in any literature. Far above all other hunted whales, his is an unwritten life. Now the various species of whales need some sort of popular, comprehensive classification, if only an easy outline one for the present. As no better man advances to take this matter in hand, I hereby offer my own poor endeavors. I promise nothing complete, because any human thing supposed to be complete must for that very reason be faulty. I shall not pretend to a minute anatomical description of the various aspects, or, in this place at least, much of any description. My object here is simply to project the drought of a systematization of cetology. Systematization. I am the architect, not the builder.
But I have swam through libraries and sailed through the oceans. I have had to do with whales with these very hands. I am in earnest, and I will try. There are some preliminaries to settle. First, the uncertain and unsettled condition of the science of cetology is in the very vestibule, attested by the fact that in some quarters it still remains a moot point whether a whale be a fish. In his System of Nature, AD 1776, Linnaeus declares, I hereby separate the whales from the fish. The grounds upon which Linnaeus would fain have banished the whale from the waters, he states as follows. On account of their warm bilocular hearts, their lungs, their movable eyelids, their hollow ears, penem intrantem feminam mamis lanctantem, and finally, ex lege naturae jure meritoque. Be it known that, waiving all argument, I hereby stand on the grounds that the whale is a fish, and ask holy Jonah to back me.
Next, how shall we define the whale? By his obvious externals, so as conspicuously to label him for all time to come? To be short then, a whale is a spouting fish with a horizontal tail. A fish. Deal with it. There you have him. Now then, come the grand divisions of the entire whale host. According to magnitude, I divide the whales into 3 primary books, subdivisible into chapters, and these shall comprehend them all, both small and large. About some we know very much, others very little. Shall we proceed? This whale, who, among the English of old, was vaguely known as the trumpa whale, the physeter whale, and the anvil-headed whale, is the present cachalot of the French, and the potfish of the Germans, and the macrocephalus of the long words. He is, without doubt, the largest inhabitant of the globe, the most formidable of all whales to encounter, the most majestic in aspect, and by far the most valuable in commerce, he being the only creature from which that valuable substance, spermaceti, is obtained. For truly, after what else could one name such a majestic beast, but after the male reproductive cells, the center of all society? But I digress. Before it was used for light, it was used only as an ointment and medicament, seeing as it was exceedingly scarce.
In one respect, this is the most venerable of the leviathans, being the one first regularly hunted by man. It yields the article commonly known as whalebone or baleen, and the oil specially known as whale oil, an inferior article in commerce. Among the fishermen he is indiscriminately designated by all the following titles: the whale, the Greenland whale, the black whale, the great whale, the true whale, the right whale. There is a deal of obscurity concerning the identity of the species thus multitudinously baptized. It is the whale which, for more than 2 centuries past, has been hunted by the Dutch and English in the Arctic seas. It is the whale which the American fishermen have long pursued in the Indian Ocean, on the Brazil banks, on the northwest coast, and various other parts of the world, designated by them right whale cruising grounds.
His grand distinguishing feature, the fin, from which he derives his name, is often a conspicuous object. This fin is some 3 or 4 feet long, growing vertically from the hinder part of the back, of an angular shape, and with a very sharp pointed end. Even if not the slightest other part of the creature be visible, this isolated fin will be seen plainly projecting from the surface. The finback is not the least bit gregarious. He seems a whale-hater, as some men are man-haters. Very shy, always going solitary, unexpectedly rising to the surface in the remotest and most sullen waters. His straight and single lofty jet rising like a tall misanthropic spear upon a barren plain, gifted with such wondrous power and velocity in swimming, as to defy all present pursuit from man, this Leviathan seems the banished and unconquerable Cain of his race, bearing for his mark that style upon his back. From having the baleen in his mouth, the finback is sometimes included with the right whale, among a theoretic species dominating whalebone whales, which is to say, whales with baleen.
The popular name for him does not sufficiently distinguish him, since the sperm whale also has a lump, though a smaller one. His oil is not very valuable. He has baleen. He is the most gamesome and light-hearted of all the whales, making more gay foam and white water generally than any other of them.
Of this whale little is known but his name. I have seen him at a distance off Cape Horn. Of a retiring nature, he eludes both hunters and philosophers. Though no coward, he has never yet shown any part of him but his back, which rises in a long, sharp ridge. Let him go. I know little more of him, nor does any man else.
Another retiring gentleman, with a brimstone belly, doubtless got by scraping along the roof tiles of hell in some of his profounder divings. He is seldom seen, he is never chased. Prodigies are told of him. Adieu, sulphur bottom, I can say nothing more that is true of ye, nor can the oldest Nantucketer.
A moderately sized fish, the grampus is most easily identified by its loud, sonorous breathing, and provides a goodly amount of oil, which is especially good for light. Despite this, and the fact that they travel in large herds, the grampus is rarely hunted, as some fishermen believe his approach as being premonitory of the arrival of the great sperm whale, a much more desirable catch.
The blackfish, also called the hyena whale, is, as one might suspect, almost entirely black, and marked by their ferocious voracity and perpetual Mephistophelian grin. Known for passing by with their hooked dorsal fin showing, they are hunted only when better game is not to be found. Their thin blubber, amounting to almost 30 gallons of oil, is oft sold to lonely housewives, who will burn their unsavory tallow while fending off the horrors of extreme loneliness.
Don't wanna be all by myself.
The narwhale, which is to say the nostril whale, I suppose due to its massive 5-foot horn protruding from its snout, goes by many names: the tusked whale, the horned whale, the unicorn whale. Truly, it is considered a magical creature indeed, its horn regarded as the antidotes to myriad poisons, and used in the salts of fainting ladies. Whatever else we mere mortals may use his horn for, the narwhale's own use of it remains to this day a mystery. Some believe it is used in the breaking of ice, or as a defensive weapon. This, however, is utterly preposterous, as the cumbersome thing gives its owner something analogous to the aspect of a clumsy left-handed man. My own opinion is, that however this one-sided horn may be used by the narwhale, however that may be, it would certainly be very convenient to him for a folder in reading pamphlets. Though his oil is undoubtedly superior, very little of it is procured from a single whale, so that his horn becomes his greatest article of worth to the fisherman. The killer and thrasher are both savage creatures, the rowdy outlaws of the sea.
The most common porpoise, found all over the globe. Full of fine spirits, their appearance is generally hailed with delight by the mariner, as they are considered somewhat of a good omen. A well-fed, plump huzzah porpoise will yield 1 good gallon of oil, and the fine oil secreted from his jaws is exceedingly valuable. Thus, a dedicated fisherman coming across a hilarious shoal of these well-tempered beasts is sure to find a pretty penny from the purses of watchmaker and jeweler.
A violent creature, prone to attacking sharks if provoked.
He is of a quite neat and gentlemanlike figure. He has no fins on his back, as most other porpoises have, a lovely smart tail, and sentimental Indian eyes of a hazel hue, but his mealy mouth spoils it all and makes him look as if he has just escaped from a felonious visit to a meal bag. A most mean and mealy aspect. His oil is much like that of the common porpoise.
Now you know about as much as any man knows about whales, although there are still some whales of which we know very little about.
So if you happen to see any of them, let me know and I'll send you a shiny Spanish doubloon in the mail. Scout's honor.